Hi, I'm Eric. I'm filming on my new phone, and welcome to another video. Today we're getting back into Kate Bush. It's been a minute. I've been busy. There's been a lot of new releases, and Kate Bush, as we know, has not been really releasing anything new lately, but it is time to finally get into her second studio album, Lionheart. This is a compact record. It's 10 songs. I think it was like 36 minutes, so shouldn't be too long of a reaction, but I hope to dive into the lyrics a bit more because I know without looking up lyrics, I am lost in a Kate Bush album, and I'm so happy that I got into her by happenstance more last year, and I'm happy that you guys have been really enjoying these reactions so I can continue looking into her discography. I'd also like to know, besides Hounds of Love, what albums from Kate Bush are your favorites, so please let me know down in the comments below which those are. If I've covered them, please tell me which songs you like from them. If you haven't heard me react to one yet, because I haven't posted a reaction to it, please let me know and I'll make sure I get to those. I just don't know if all of her albums are critically acclaimed or if it's just the Hounds of Love, Dreaming, Never Forever, Kick Inside. Those are the 4 I've done so far, and now we're going to get into our 5th one, which is Lionheart. I'm so excited to get into this reaction. Thank you for requesting it, and let's get into it. Track number 1 is Symphony in Blue. By the way, I am doing the 2018 remaster for all of this. Okay, starting a bit chill. The color of my room is blue. Blowing my mind. What was? Ooh, it's getting a little jazzier. This feels perfect for like a spring, summer vibe. Slow down. Vague lullaby feelings. I associate the color of love as red. The more I think about sex, the better it gets. Spent a lot of my time looking at blue. I didn't realize, but I picked the right color for today. So that was Symphony in Blue, and oh, that was a fun way to get back into her. I haven't listened to a full Kate Bush album in a while. It's been just like isolated songs, and so I'm ready to really digest all of it tonight. But this song was interesting because, first of all, when I looked it up, I found out that the songs on this album, a lot of them were written even before her debut or around the time of her debut, because her label was very excited to release a second album after her first album did very well. So as a result of that, a lot of these songs are not new, but this one is generally considered one of the newer songs written for this album. It's that one, Full House, and Copy Homeground are the 3 new songs for this album. Whereas the other ones are, I don't know if they'd be considered the Kick Inside outtakes or just other songs that she wrote that she wasn't considering for her debut, or she just dove back into her diary. I have no idea. But this was an interesting way to kick it off because we're thinking about blue. It's the color of her mood. It's the color of her room. So she's thinking about the physical nature, but also the metaphorical, synesthetic type of nature. And yeah, I don't know. I like this because we're also getting into her bolder side. She's talking about, you know, intimacy, and how the more she thinks about it, the better it gets. Okay. I didn't expect to hear that from Kate, but we'll go with it. And apparently a lot of these ideas come from this book of dreams that William Reich came out with. Cool. I know that she's inspired by a lot of different texts and media, and so it's only natural that we'd get a song like that. But I like it. It is just like a Kate Bush, just general vibey type song. It's not what I would consider a big hit, but it's not necessarily a song that I would consider to be not a big hit. It's just is there. It's definitely a good Kate Bush song. It makes sense for the late 70s of Kate Bush, but it's not something that's offensive, and it's not something that I find boring at all. So it just sits nicely in the middle, and I feel like it's going to sit nicely in the middle even after I've listened to this whole album. It's a great way to start off and get us acclimated to what we're going to hear. Track number 2 is In Search of Peter Pan. There we go with the media again. It's a long week, so much crying. When I get older, I'll understand it all. But I'm not sure if I want to. Ooh. And Granny takes me underneath. Is this Wendy, or is this a story she's making up around Peter Pan? Oh, we switched it up. Oh, we evolved and we escalated. My eyes are full, but my face is empty. What? He keeps it under his pillow. What does he keep? See, this is why I look up the lyrics. I'm missing key plot. That switch is such a shift, but it's fun. I will be an astronaut, okay. Wait, this is Cinderella interpolation. Doesn't matter who you are, when you wish upon a star, your dream will come true. Huh. So that was In Search of Peter Pan, and that was an interesting song. Sonically, we had that shift from the slow to the fast moments, and then it goes back to slow and then fast. And then, yeah, I thought it was interesting, as well as the sampling of when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Disney, do not sue me. Y'all didn't write Peter Pan. It's true. But this song is using the text of Peter Pan, which talks about in the actual work, which I actually haven't read the book itself, but I'm familiar that it exists. But the text indicates how attitudes of parents and, you know, mentoring figures can really affect and manipulate a child who maybe doesn't want to think in that way. Maybe they want to think in a completely different way. But the idea of us turning out a lot like our parents is a lot because we're raised like that, and, you know, what you put into it, you're going to put in a lot of you into your parenting. And so as a result, something's going to happen to your child in a way that's different than if a completely different person took care of them. But this song is told from the perspective of, I want to say it's going to be a boy because she says, when I become a man, I want to be an astronaut and find Peter Pan. And so it's this notion of trying to still believe in what you want and be yourself, especially at a young age, but still have to deal with the changes of growing up, and also saying that you'll understand it all when you're older. But maybe you don't want to. Maybe you don't think that's how the world works. I definitely resonate with the message. I think that people say, oh, you'll understand when you're older. And there are certain things I understand now that I didn't when I was younger, for sure. But in terms of like, oh, this is the way it has to be, I call BS on it. No, it's not. You can change things. We don't have to live the way that our parents did, and our parents before that, and our parents before that. We do not need to keep being over capitalistic. We don't have to be so hyper consumerist. We don't have to keep polluting the environment. We don't have to do so many traditional things. Some traditions are awesome and some are definitely worth keeping, or at least harmless. But then there's some that are like, we don't really need to go with that. It might not be serving us. And I think a newer mind, younger minds are definitely ones to think more analytically and approach situations from some form of skepticism. And so I think she's definitely putting a good commentary here. As someone, I don't know, she's either late teens, early 20s when this album's getting released, and this was not one of the ones that was released for the album, so I believe it was from her debut times or even before then. So she's definitely feeling like a child, but also an adult at the same time, a young adult. I feel you, girl. we're not the same age as then, and we're obviously not the same age now, but yeah, I feel her on this, and I think this is a really good message in a song, and it's really interesting, and I don't know how much I'll play it because of Sonics. Sonics are cool, but it definitely doesn't wow me necessarily in the Sonic department, but you know what might is track number 3, which is titled Wow. Let's see if it actually wows me. Okay, starting off slow. Ooh, feels a little starry or, I don't know, actiony. You think you're amazing, we think you're incredible. Ooh, she's really wowing. Wow, wow, wow. And the actor reaches his death. We think you're really cool. But you'd have to play the fool. Oh. Ooh, I love how she goes off the rails vocally. Dang, she's really holding this. Of course, right when I comment on it, she stops. So that was Wow, and I believe this is actually the most popular one that's on this album. And wow, it was fun. Sorry, I was thinking about the fact that I was in a play recently we just wrapped up, but it's called It's Only a Play by Terrence McNally, and my character was Gus. I played that part, but he says wow a lot in a row, and that's like part of the joke because it's comedy. And so I was just like, wow, wow. And I was like, I could have sung it like Kate Bush. Missed opportunity if I had only gotten to it sooner. The song is about show business and how you're actors or you're performers, and you might get praise, but you also have to deal with some of the wicked side of the industry. Like, oh, we'd love to give you a part, but you're gonna have to play the fool. And not just saying, oh, like you don't get the part that you want, but also that they'll manipulate you, that they'll control you, that they'll make you look silly, because that's how the entertainment industry generally functions. Interesting. Yeah, I liked it. I think the song is probably the closest to single status. I believe that this song was a single from the era, so it makes sense because it just very much gives a, I don't know, it's still a ballad, but the chorus of it is definitely more catchy than the other songs we've heard, and so I can see why they would pick this one. I think I like it too. I like the vibe of this album. It's kind of giving me almost like if the Kick Inside is like Under Rug Swept from Alanis, then this is the Feast on Scraps, because of the idea of a lot of these songs were written around the same time as Kick Inside or before even, and we're just combining it all together with some new songs and calling it a minute, but it is still cohesive and there's a lot of different elements at play. I feel like this album is capturing my attention more than the Kick Inside was, so I think that's where I'm going to compare. I don't think I should compare it to like Hounds of Love right now or The Dreaming, because, you know, she got older, she had other opportunities. It probably is also so far entertaining me more than the beginning of Never Forever. At least I know in the middle of there we get sometimes, I guess Babushka was the beginning of that. This is kind of on a same level as Babushka, this Wow, I think, but that's where I'm at after one listen. Let's find out how this album grows on me after we first have to listen to the whole album once. Track number 4 is Don't Push Your Foot on the Heartbreak. I see what you did there. That's some clever wordplay. This does not feel that old. This feels more like, I don't know, 2000s. Oh, she's getting high-pitched. Oh, okay. We woke ourselves up. Oh, we zoom in. What is this high-pitched background vocals? I definitely don't understand most of her lyrics, but this is just fun. Don't put your blues where your shoes should be. Okay. Oh, she roared like violin. Oh, her vocals are similarly not putting their foot on the brake. So that was Don't Push Your Foot on the Heartbreak. And that was fun. Sonically, you revved me up. You woke me up. I love it when a song gets me pumped. Is there an upbeat song on the inside? It's been a minute. I feel like I listened to that album and then I just promptly forgot about it afterwards. I was in a depression, so my apologies on that. But that album I don't think really did. This was upbeat. This got me pumped like violin does in a way. Not in the same way because it doesn't have her going so off the rails vocally. And this one has some sort of motivation. And I'm intrigued about it because there's no annotations here. We got the idea of her fading fast. She's losing her inner battle, and I think, is she like about to like, or is it more of she thinks this relationship is coming to an end and she needs to continue renewing hope, or that person needs to show up and say, hey girl, I got you. It's not Kate because she says it's Emma, so I don't know who Emma is at all. And if you have context on the song, I would love to know. But I feel like it's something about actual like heartbreak rather than like, you know, medical. This one was fun and energizing and kind of hope inspiring. I don't know. I feel like I liked it, but I think it's mainly because of the upbeat. I love a good upbeat Kate number. Yeah, I had fun. Track number 5 is Oh England My Lionheart. The closest thing to a title track we're getting on this record. My Lionheart. Okay, we're already saying the title. The war is over. Peter Pan is back? You read me Shakespeare? Keep the tower from tumbling? I don't want to go? Oh, passed over very seamlessly. So that was Oh England My Lionheart. It was a quiet number, honestly. Like, it's not an upbeat one. It is more just like chill and let Kate Bush singing the song. This one is pretty much just, I think, celebrating her time in England, saying a lot of things that are references to England. For example, you have Shakespeare, you have the phrase Lionheart, which I think comes from an old king being nicknamed that, and then talking about the Thames, talking about the London Bridge, talking about how there was air raid shelters that were normally used during World War II, but then they were overgrown with clover because they weren't really being kept up and maintained because the war was over. Talking about the Tower of London, just talking about a lot of different things that either England is known for or just things that stood out to her personally about like the rain. But I think it's an interesting tale. It definitely is Kate Bush at her level of saying, hey, these are the things I notice and these are things I want to discuss. There are songs like that. Wasn't there one about her in a yoga class or something like that? She has sometimes a tendency to be inspired by something she's experienced or something she's associated herself with at some point, such as her English identity, and then making a song off of that. And I feel like that's where this one fits. It's not necessarily the song that I'm going to turn to from this album. It is a little slow. It is kind of like glorifying England, which I don't think is, at least from the American perspective, is the country you most want to glorify. I get it's from your own country, and so you have things to be proud of. I have things I'm proud of the United States, even though I disagree with a lot of things that the United States has done as a government or some of its people have done. But we don't need to get into that today. I think after the Queen's passing and talking with people who were kind of very much okay with that. I've started thinking a lot about how much of a colonialist and imperialist power England was. And I think those are issues that Kate talks about. I mean, she talks about Vietnam with Pull Out the Pin and the Dreaming, but that wasn't the UK. So I wonder how critical she would be of England, and I wonder how she feels now, because this is really more of like, oh, I don't want to leave. I love this place. And you can love a place even while recognizing that there are problems with it. I don't think she acknowledges any of the problems here. I don't think in her early 20s she was going to. But just because she is fine to really not acknowledge that at her age, especially with her record label, doesn't mean I have to necessarily like the song. It's gonna be okay. I might skip it, probably. I probably will. But at least now, I know that there's more than one song that talks about England after Taylor Swift's London Boy. I also think Lionheart is an interesting choice for the title of the album, because it means brave or courageous. I guess the whole album is about being brave or courageous. I guess you can say that. But I don't know. I feel like you could have just done wow. Like, that's an album title. Like, would be such an interesting album title. And then I think it, like, didn't it hit, like, #1 in the UK? So, like, wow. It writes the headlines of the newspaper itself. But overall, I'm okay with the song. Probably not going to be my favorite on the record. And I'm hoping that we kind of, now that we've had that moment, have moments that are not like that. And we'll see if that happens on track number 6, Full House, which is one of the tracks she wrote specifically for this album. So I'm excited to see an updated sound. Ooh, piano. Driving back in her car? Trying to get back again? Imaginations that's in? Telling you things that aren't happening? Voices in your head? Ooh, she's belting out. Digging the knife in. By questioning all that I do. Ooh, interesting way to outro that song. So that was Full House, and that's not what I thought the song was about at all. Let's start with Sonics. This song is fun. I love how the chorus goes in. Da, 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 da. Like, I don't know, it gets jazzy. It's more different. It's very varied. And I like that because I feel like a lot of songs from this era of music, the 70s in particular, I'm like, okay, it's cool, but it doesn't keep it always fresh and interesting. That's my personal bias as someone who wasn't alive during that time. But I feel like commonly a lot of songs from the 70s and the 60s especially, they'll be like, oh my god, these are some of the best songs of all time, and I'm like, I get 10 of these confused with each other. This does not have that issue because it is interesting. Kate Bush does keep it interesting on this one, and at first I thought lyrically, oh, the song is about running someone over because you're driving your car and you see your old self trying to stay out of the rain. I thought it was just like someone you hated. Like, you were just oop, and then now it's a full house tonight because you're hiding a body in there. But that's actually not the case at all. This song is actually about not letting the voices in your head get to you and your old bad habits get to you. You want to be this progressed person, someone who's evolved more, and know how to not get into those bad routines because you're examining all the moves you make, analyzing what you're doing so that you are sticking with who you actually want to be versus who you were and the parts of you that you didn't like and you let shine. The full house refers to a game of poker, and you got a full house in your hand tonight, which is a really good hand, and you just have to play your cards right, and then you're able to succeed and be that person. You have all the tools at your disposal to succeed and become that better version of yourself. You just have to use them. And sometimes we choose not to use them or choose to ignore them. And that might not be the most helpful for us. I think we could benefit from thinking and analyzing what we're doing and how we can become better people. I think that's something that Kate definitely thinks about. And she writes songs like that. And I think I like those songs a lot. I think I tend to prefer those songs over songs about love with her, aside from Hounds of Love title track, because oops, my bad. But I think she gives really interesting commentary on what it is like to be alive and talking about self-improvement and issues that are related to oneself. That's what normally motivates me to start writing. So I definitely can respect a killer songwriter like her. And yeah, I like the song even more now that I understand the messaging. I already liked it sonically, so I think this one is going to be up there for me. Track number 7 is In the Warm Room. Ooh, more piano. Did she learn piano first? You long to kiss those red lips? Oh, this might be a love song. She'll tell you she loves you. Ooh. She's waiting in the warm room. Oh, things might get a little heated. You fall into her like a pillow. Oh, this is love. So that was In the Warm Room. To be in love and never get out again. That's what this song reminds me of, lyrically, because she's talking about how this woman loves you and she's true and she'll tell you that she's staying, so you better barricade the way out because you don't want her to leave. You're gonna fall in love with her. And it was both romantic and a little intimate, talking about her marshmallow thighs. Okay, is that a compliment? I assume it is, yeah, because I think she's talking, I don't think from her own experience, because I think Kate is hetero. She might not even be referring to herself in the third person. She just might be referring to a story. But she's telling this, presumably a boy, but it could be also a girl too. There's not really any pronouns associated with it. But she's telling this person that this girl is falling in love with them. And yeah, I don't know, like, it made me feel cozy and nice, and wish that were me. But I'm happy for the people in the story. It seems like they found a connection that they're gonna have, and they can spend all the time forever together. How sweet. I don't want to go too much into detail because some of it's a little too sweet corn for me to talk about, but yeah, it was nice. I liked it. I think I'll listen to it even though it is more on the slower side. I think it was just nice. I don't know. It felt like I was in a warm room with someone who I would care about. Sounds nice. Track number 8 is Kashka from Baghdad. Yeah, she definitely was piano-centric. What am I talking about? Okay, title. With Another Man But No One Knows? Wait, is this the queer song that I heard about from before? I have no idea what they're doing in the shouting mode. I'd say they long to be happy. Girl, me too. Moon's not bright enough. I long to be with them. I can hear music from Kashka's house. This is a very ominous ending. Are they okay in the end? So that was Kashka from Baghdad. Okay. Sorry, I just looked at the lyrics and I was like, ooh, that's a little more interesting than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, you know, they're secretly together, but they have to, you know, play it straight, and they long to be happy in a world that is just unjust towards them. But it's not actually. It's actually celebrating queerness, and I think that's better, especially for an ally to do. Take notes. Any straight person who's trying to write any song, the queer community, honestly at this point, don't. Like, really, what are you going to say? that a queer person just can't say. We do have rights in, at least my country, and we do have the ability to speak our mind, because a lot of other yahoos are able to do it. So I think we can too. But she's saying that she longs to be with them, not, I think, in a relationship, but they know the way to be happy. They're not being out on the streets. They are just living kind of secretly in this house. There is music playing from their house. There is these moments that you can tell that they're laughing and they're having a good time in each other's presence. They're deep in love. And she's like, wow, I wish I knew a love like that, pretty much. Not necessarily centering it about her, but kind of in a way that makes it feel like she's like, no, I get it. If you're in love with a person, you're in love with the person, regardless of whether it's a sin or, you know, it's not something that's talked about or discussed. Apparently, being queer was legalized in UK. I assume not marriage. I assume it's just the practice of it wouldn't get you in jail. When did that happen in the United States? I don't know. But this is, you know, pre-HIV epidemic, pre a lot of discussions on queerness happening, definitely pre all the queer legislation that came about in the United States and probably in the UK, generally speaking. So I do applaud her, because it is a bit bold of her to pick the song. Probably wasn't a single, my guess, because it probably would have gotten kind of blacklisted or just less played on radio. But I do admire her for that. And definitely, Kate Bush is definitely someone who is very much an LGBTQ plus icon. I think she is just an ally, but I think a lot of people relate to her, especially I think Running Up That Hill is sometimes considered like a trans anthem. So good for them. And then this song is, I don't know, it feels like it's normalizing it. And I think sometimes a lot of like queer songs that are not written by queer people is either focused on the intimacy aspects and the explicitness, or I think it's kind of talking in a way that is more in line with gay slang, which is also commonly tied to AAVE. So yeah, like Taylor Swift, take notes. You need to calm down. Wasn't really it for me personally. Loved most of your other work, but you need to calm down. You didn't really need to bring it up. The song has a good story, and as someone who doesn't exclusively like women as a man, I think this song is pretty okay. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be my favorite from the album, but that's just because it's like kind of slow. But I think message-wise, I think this is how you write a song about a queer relationship without centering it on the trauma and also just not centering yourself fully. I think this is the line, hard line to toe, but I think she did it well. Not that I'm Sikh for all queer people, but that's my opinion. Track number 9 is Coffee Homeground. This is the last of the 3 tracks that were written for this album specifically, so I'm excited to hear how it sounds. Ooh. What is that sound? What is she saying? This is a little silly, Kate, isn't it? Yeah, this feels circusy. Oh, I like how she does her low and then her high contrast. Keep your recipes. Okay. You don't want the coffee homeground from them. There's so many different elements in this song. I can't really tell what's going on. So it was Coffee Homeground. A silly song. That was kind of about silliness. This song was inspired by a paranoid taxi driver who thought someone was out to poison them with their coffee home ground, or their hemlock in their pot of tea, or all these different ways of consuming something that's gonna make you. Her vocal runs towards the end that I thought were a little chaotic, were apparently inspired by singer Lottie Lenya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but apparently they're a German speaker, so cool. Kate Bush is someone who does seem to love adding references to pop culture, people, history, all different things. And I like how she implements them into her songs and gets really into it. This song, because of how chaotic it was, I didn't realize how fun it was. I think the sonics of it are very fun, and I think now that I'm familiar with it, I think it'll be something I can let grow on me. For now, because I didn't know what was going on, I didn't really know what to do and feel about it. So now that I've gotten the crash course in Coffee Homeground, I think I'll be ready to really dive into it. It's also funny because, as we talked about, Kate is from the UK, and Bowen Yang, in an interview with Seth Meyers, was actually talking about how he couldn't get iced coffee in London, that in Europe they just think you're crazy if you want just coffee with ice in it. So that's funny. I don't drink coffee, but I thought that was funny. I think it's particularly just funny because I just love finding coincidences between what I was doing or media I was consuming and then other stuff I'm consuming in a relatively short time frame. Like, I watched it during dinner today and now it's after dinner. So that's kind of funny how that all came together. Track number 10, last track on this album, Hammer Horror. That sounds like a chaotic song waiting to happen. I'm ready to see what happens. Ooh, cinematic start. Oh, I wanted to hum that for some reason. Oh, her voice is extremely delicate here. It's gorgeous. Oh, okay, it's picking up a little bit. I was like, Hammer Horror, you're not gonna be slow. All I want to do is forget. Hammer Horror. Wait, this sounds a little like The Wedding List. I love her timbre and Hammer Horror. Is this the right thing to do? Hammer Horror. Hammer Horror. I don't know, I want to do a zombie mode. Oh, for the first time, I keep the lights on? I don't know, this chorus just gets me hyped. Ooh, a gong. We're just gonna end on that ringing. Wow. Oh, here's another gong. So that was Hammer Horror. Why is it a bop? I swear, she either will make a very boring song, the last one, not boring, but slow and quiet, or she'll make it a hit. Get Out of My House, yes. The Morning Fog, yes. Hammer Horror, yes. This was released as the lead single. Kind of iconic, honestly. So weird of a song to put in lead single, but it's what it deserves. Honestly, I'm surprised that they put it at the end of the album because I feel like lead singles were almost never the last song on an album because that meant that on cassettes and stuff like that, you can't skip them necessarily. So I feel like the idea normally was, oh, you put your hits towards the beginning because they'll play them over and over. And so you feel like you got more bang for your buck. But I guess she wanted us to hear all the deep tracks too. The song lyrically tells the story of an actor who has to play the part that his friend originally got, but then in an accident passed away. And so it feels wrong for him to play the part that his friend was supposed to do, and it was something that he really wanted to do. And so now that old friend that passed away is haunting him. And so that actor has to now keep the lights on and be like, I don't like this. Is this the right thing to do? Like, I feel wrong about this, not only because the friend's not leaving them alone, but also because like it just feels bad because he has sympathy and cares about his friend, and he knows how badly that friend really wanted to play that role. And so, yeah, it's a weird thing. I think in some way it's similar to when someone understudies. It's like, oh, you can like that person who's understudying, but you might not like the fact that they are coming in because someone else couldn't be able to make it. Like, for example, with my play, in our final week, we had some of our fellow co-stars not be able to perform because they were sick. And so we had some people being on book and doing their best. They were great. They really helped the show go on. But, you know, I couldn't help personally but feel bad because there was certain connections I had made with those actors. And not only do I care about them as people, but also I cared about them within the performance as well. And so I still like the people who came in, but I'm going to have a different set of feelings towards them because of the circumstances, rather than with the original cast. I didn't have those circumstances to really contend with because they were the people originally chosen for the part. Apparently the song was inspired by this happening with the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think she even mentions Notre Dame in it because that's the role they're playing. I guess they're playing the Hunchback. I'm glad we ended with kind of a banger. It definitely feels precursor to Wedding List. And so I'm seeing where she's getting her inspiration from and how she's evolving. She had Hammer Hoarder leading to the Wedding List, and she also had, what was the other song from before? Oh, the Don't Push on the Heartbreak, feeling a little bit like Violin. So it's nice to see that she is connecting the dots for us. I do like that. The evolution feels natural. With that said, we have finished this album, and I have to say I'm glad I reacted to it with y'all. I felt like I had been on a break from Kate Bush for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's just like a lot of albums coming out, and I had kind of a moment where I just wasn't posting much. So my apologies on that, but I think this album was wonderful, and I'm glad I got to react to it with y'all. I feel like this album is offering me kind of the highlights of what Kick Inside and Never Forever, those two albums that didn't stick with me as much, or really bring to the table like the positives of it. And I think just the songwriting just really sticks with me. I think she has some of the sillier aspects that are prevalent in The Dreaming. She also has the good stories that I think laid the foundation for her being very well respected in the industry and leads to the culmination of what Hounds of Love is. Yeah, I think this album was wonderful. I feel like there's a lot of songs I can go back to, or even songs I can play on. There wasn't really anything that was like, ugh. There was nothing that gave me an ick. There wasn't anything that was weirdly too high-pitched or gave me a really bad feeling. I think the closest to that was probably the title track or the semi-title track. And that's just probably because I don't really care to listen to a 3-minute song about why England is cool. Sure, I'm sure it is, but it's just not something that I fancy. There you go, I gave a little British slang for y'all. I think she talks about a lot of different concepts. I feel like she has a lot of inspirations in it, and those inspirations don't take away from the plot. I feel like the past, sometimes we would have songs that I was like, oh, this was an interesting message, and she's like, oh no, I just recounted a book's plot. Because even when she tells stories, I like when those stories have the lessons in them and it doesn't just fully change how you can feel about the song. I feel like she did a great job of having inspirations, but also being able to tell it in a story that's very uniquely hers, rather than her just retelling it word for word and just giving the plot away. I like it when she expands on it and makes it really her own. And I guess the success of Wuthering Heights probably prompted a lot of storytelling in this, and I'm glad that it led to stories that are really interesting. There's a lot of interesting stories on here. Was there anything that I found like uninteresting? No, everything was interesting to some degree besides England, sorry. Y'all have very interesting people and you'll have a very interesting history and culture and stuff like that, but just not the aspects that Kate talks about. I also am just not gonna think about the royal family as a sort of celebrity. I just don't. Sorry. I did have fun with this one, and I hope to add it into my rotation, not just within Kate Bush's discography, but just in my general listening habits. And I am excited to see which songs grow on me and which songs just come to the forefront. With that said, here are some of my favorites. So the top tier are the songs I love, the standouts, the ones that I've been playing over and over again. Songs in the middle are songs I like, I'll add them to my playlist, but they may not be at the top of the top, and songs at the bottom are just not really my thing. Doesn't mean they're a bad song, doesn't mean they can't be your favorite song, just means it's not for me, and that's okay. This album was not designed for me because I was not born yet. So if I feel like some things are dated, or some things are just really not up my alley, if it's a product of its time, I am not a product of that time. Let me know which songs you loved, which songs you like, which songs are just okay for you. Just let me know all of your thoughts and enlighten me down in the comments below. If you like this video, please look at what's comment down below, which like to react to or do next on my channel. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already and you'd like to be, and thanks for watching. This is TurtleStormer. Catch you later. Get out of the dark and get into my heart. You gotta do your part for a brand new start. Don't it just feel right? Looking in my eyes until we see the light. Dance with me tonight. Think it's pretty obvious that I'll run the show. I'm thinking about you when you could ever know.